Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the SMITE update. Always joining me today is Octane Pro, my co-host. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. It's been a while since we've had the opportunity to do a Smite update. Unfortunately, just due to busy real life stuff, but happy to be back. And we've missed out on actually a ton going on in the Smite community.
There's always something going on in the SMITE community. So many things to look at, so many exciting changes going through, and new gods and all kinds of stuff. But let's go ahead and hop right into it. I mean, we see the first part, there's a lot of events that happen. Obviously, we have tournaments going on and changes in the high-res architecture and all that kind of stuff. Do you want to start off with the first point here?
Sure, definitely. So, if you guys have been kind of out of the loop within the tournament scene, if we jump back like a few weeks ago, you had your My Revenge and your Curse of the Gods, and then you had a few other tournaments here and there coming, throughout the scene that were actually sponsored by High Res. They were throwing money at them, and unfortunately, within the past week or two, we've seen High Res actually pulling back sponsorship on, from what I understand, all grassroots tournaments. So the My Revenge sponsorship, the Curse of the Gods. Now, I still think they're involved with like the BLG Casual and stuff like that, but they've pulled everything back, and they're no longer sponsoring these grassroots tournament organizations out there. And they've actually decided to pull things internally and start to do them themselves. So I guess, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, are you glad to see them doing that? Do you think it's going to affect the scene in a negative way? What are your thoughts?
I'm always a fan of standardization. I think it's really important to make sure that everything's run the same way and in the same fashion. So I think this was something that not necessarily the high-res sponsorship, the official grab of that, but I think the split of the EU NA was a long time coming type thing. I mean, there were so many teams on either side, and so much dissension and frustration for the split of the pings and the latency and who gets seeded for what server and who gets what or whatever. I mean, there's just a lot going on with that. So I think it's really important for this kind of split of the EU NA. And I'm kind of glad that high-res is taking close attention to the competitive scene.
Sure, definitely. I mean, it kind of is a shame for the grassroots side, as I know like how important that is to have some of these outside organizations. But you have to realize, high res, they can only fuel these scenes, these organizations for so
My
long
name
before
is
these
Dry Bear,
organizations
and
really need to be going out and getting their own sponsorships. I mean, that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Curse the Gods and My Revenge come back strong, offering bigger prize pools, but from their own sponsors. If you go on the My Revenge site, I mean, they got a whole list of sponsors. Well, where are they at? Get some money in there. Throw some money at some of these. Even if it's a monthly tournament, I wouldn't mind seeing that. Furthermore, we've also seen what happened, as Driver had talked about. We now are seeing a split between the North American and EU server tournaments, which has been a long time coming. A lot of complaints about it. Just the other week, I was doing the best of three for My Revenge. And we saw, a team, a North American team on an EU server the second game, and literally they were like destroyed the team the first game. The second game, they were now on an EU server, and they were just getting dominated to the point where after like 10 minutes, they just surrendered. And speaking with them, they were like, "Hey, the lag was just too bad." So I'm really happy to see the separation here. As you had just commented on, it was kind of something that was necessary and a long time coming, and we're going to see some standardization, which is great. Something that kind of goes along with those tournaments, though, we actually saw the hiring of two tournament administrators, one for EU and one for NA. I don't know if this is most likely in response to the disaster that came along with the 10K tournament. Look at the laugh. I hear the laugh. What are your thoughts? Tell me how you feel.
I love it because I think the EU admin Dean Machine does a lot for the SMITE community. Obviously, he runs 3 shows. I mean, he's got DSide and he's all those shows are going on with that. And I think it's really important that I think he really deserved to get that kind of spot. He runs a really tight ship as far as the admin go. And of course, we have M. Blake W, who was the My Revenge admin, who switched over to become the Curse tournament admin, and then switched over to become the High Res tournament admin. So he's kind of been all over the place, doing everything all at once, and doing a really good job at that. So I think both those admins have been doing a good job for a really long time, and they deserve to have that the initial recognition and the fact that they are now the official admins for those tournaments, and being part of the internal process. I can really recognize how much work they do put in to make these tournaments run smoothly, especially since no one really gets to know how hard they do work and what goes on behind the scenes. I know Demon Machine I mean, I casted for 8 hours today. Got up at 5 a.m. But Demon Machine was up for 12 hours, making sure that the tournament was running properly. All
Oh,
the teams were there at the right place. All the signups were proper, and all the brackets were running properly. So, I mean, definitely a big shout out to the admins for the tournaments who do a lot of work and generally don't get the kind of recognition that they deserve. And I'm just kind of I'm excited to see that Hi-Rez is turning a very large eye of Sauron towards the competitive
sure.
scene, making sure that everything runs smoothly, and they realize that a big portion of their success is going to be tied to their competitive scene.
Sure, definitely. I mean, the big thing we saw with the 10K tournament, as you said, was just as people have commented on, is just the shined a new light on administrators. Pretty much showing that wow, like this is a extremely valuable position, and it needs like 110% focus and not to get too much into the nitty gritty and the drama, but pretty much it was just there wasn't the organization that was necessary, and the teams didn't get the communication that they really deserved. And what happened was, pretty much, we had teams that weren't on at the right time. We had teams that, needed breaks that weren't given them. Teams that didn't know when they were playing the day of, what time the tournament started. So it was this huge debacle. But it was all because of just balancing out of time and balancing out of people. And pretty much this is a good example of, hey, Hi-Rez saying, we're not going to let it happen again. We've hired 2 people to, manage the NA and the EU side. So pretty cool to see them stepping up to make sure this doesn't happen again. And then finally, we saw Hi-Rez launch a site, esports.smitegame.com. And it was pretty cool to see that used this past weekend. What are your thoughts on Hi-Rez kind of taking this step forward?
I like it a lot. I know it's been in the works for a while. I know Sockless has been working on it for a really long time, and Sockless is just a phenomenal web developer and web admin, taking really good control of that site, making it work properly. Obviously, this is the first weekend, so there's a lot of
Sure.
things that they wanted to implement, and it was really chaotic behind the scenes there, making sure everything worked. But once it did get up, I'm really glad. I mean, it looks great, and the more time they spend on it, the more things they add, the more bells and whistles that come out and are implemented on that site. It's gonna be really valuable towards the competitive scene, and the fact that it's all standardized under Hi-Rez's roof and comes down to these big tournaments that for both Saturday and Sunday. So I really like the website.
Oh my gosh, I think there's so much they can do with the website. I mean, there's so much room for growth and expansion. I mean, just something I thought of, which I thought would be cool, was hey, you can't really do a lot with Favor right now. What if they allowed you to do a betting system with Favor on their site? Like, how cool would that be? You could bet. You could make bets. Like, all right, North American Grand Finals. I bet X amount. That'd be so cool. But there's so much they could do with this site. But something that I found of value as just a caster like yourself is the all teams page, where you can see every player for
Oh my
every
god.
team. And those of you guys that aren't familiar, like with the casting scene, is let's say you're looking at the brackets, which as a caster, they're always available, and you see that Borderland Gaming is playing Curse Gaming. Okay, that's great. Well, as a caster, you need to follow off of certain players on those teams, and sometimes those teams are not as well known, so you have no clue who's on that team playing. So then you're like trying to talk to admins. Okay, who's on that team? Can you give me someone's name to spectate off of so I can join? And this is like a godsend right here to see like a huge list of just all the players. So really cool to see, and I'm really eager to see what Hi-Rez actually does with that page.
Definitely same here. So I mean, the next thing is obviously we didn't have a SMITE update for Naja. Naja was a melee physical assassin that was implemented a few weeks ago. Very high burst damage. Had a few adjustments there, but overall, I think he's a really good addition to the game. I personally really love his playstyle. I think he has enough upsides and downsides to make him, viable and relevant without being too strong. I know a lot of people would disagree with me there, but I don't think there's anything really too out of control for Naja. I mean, obviously, if he gets fed, he can do tons of damage, but I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, that's what assassins do. So no matter what, there's always going to be that kind of dissension there. But I think that Naja is in a really good place, and I really love his playstyle.
Yeah, at first I was a little concerned about just some of the abilities. The coolest thing just being the alt, and with the alt, it almost has, I don't know if it reminds you, but it reminds me of almost a Street Fighter kind of scene that you would see playing Street Fighter. With just like the world flashing by and you're kind of doing different combo moves. It's definitely different than what we've seen with any other god with the alt. But outside of that, I'm really happy with it, with him, and I'm also really happy with the balance that comes with Naja. So yeah, nice job to Hi-Rez with coming out with a god, which isn't super strong, shall we say, compared to the next god we're going to talk about.
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I was there for Guan Yu, so I can't be upset
That's
ever again.
Right,
I
yeah.
just I don't know. I don't have it in me to be upset as I was before. So it's just like,
Sure,
what
sure.
could happen now?
What could be worse?
Right. As you can see, Fenrir getting dead on screen. So speaking of Fenrir, let's go to hop into the next god, and this is a god that I've been waiting for so long. I love Fenrir. He's one of my favorite mythological creatures. I'm glad to see him implement. I like the art style. I like the animations. I like the way he, switches back between quadruped or bipedal. I think it's really awesome. And I think I'm gonna get some flack for saying this, but I think he's a great where he's at. I don't have any problem with the position of his balancing, or I think it takes adjustment of playstyle. And I think the reason why people are having so much trouble with Fenrir is the fact that they run away. Fenrir is very squishy, and if you let him, he will do tons of damage. But if you turn around and CC him, cripple him, or damage him, he will die. He's a very squishy character. I know he's listed as a brawler, but I think he's more of an assassin type character. If you build him too high defense, he really isn't too valuable besides the ultimate. But I think it's give it a week or two, and everyone will just start to adjust to Fenrir's playstyle. I think he's in a good spot.
Yeah. Well, first off, what you said, like, I don't think, definitely not like a bruiser style. Like, I don't see anyone or myself ever playing him as a bruiser style. I feel like he's definitely more of an assassin, as you said. Every build I've seen has pretty much been that focus of more of an assassin type of style. His The only thing I don't like is his third ability, which we didn't really get into any of the abilities yet. But his third ability is just unbelievable. How strong it is. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Why don't you go through some of his abilities and then we'll kind of go through it.
All right, we'll do a brief overview of Fenrir. You can
Sure.
see on screen above his portrait there is 5 runes. Every time you land a basic attack, you will get 1 rune that stacks up to 5. When you get all the way up to 5 runes, your next ability, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, will have a bonus effect on it, consuming those runes, of course. First ability is a medium animation leap, which will leap to the target location, doing physical damage in an area. If you have 5 runes, you will stun all enemies and gods for 1 second. Second ability is a steroid ability, which when activated will give you bonus physical power, life steal for that duration. If you have 5 runes active when you do create or use this ability, this is increased to 150% effectiveness when you do activate it, so more damage, more life steal. So definitely good interaction there. And then of course the third ability is brutalize, the one that everyone kind of focuses on as far as is Fenrir okay type thing. This is an ability which is a very short leap at its very core, fundamentally. However, if you do land on a target minion or god, you will proceed to do physical damage to them and then jump on them and follow them, hitting them 3 more times for physical damage. If you do have 5 runes active, when you use this ability, you will do 75% of that damage in splash, so you will splash around the damage you are dealing to everyone around where you are slashing. And of course his ultimate is Ragnarok. He grows to a large size, becoming CC immune for the duration, moving 50% faster, and then his next basic attack on a god will do physical damage to them and pick them up and carry them with him for the duration of his ultimate, which he cannot cancel at any point. Of course, there's a lot of interactions and implications there for the abilities. That's pretty much his skill set.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a really cool design. I mean, anything balance wise aside, I think it's just a really cool design.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of his abilities combo together very well, and I feel like his ultimate has, like, you can use it in so many different ways. You can use it to pull, which I've seen a ton of, especially in like an assault. Seeing him use his ult, grab someone, and then pull them directly back into tower range. So by the time they try to run, even if you can't finish them off, the tower will finish them or a teammate will finish them. And then on top of that, just comboing that with the brutalize is just so good. Like, you can start out with brutalize and then go to Ragnarok, or you can go the opposite way depending on what you're looking to do. So he's a really fun god to play. I definitely agree. And a lot of people in chat have said, oh, just give it time. Like, it's with every god, give it a week, and then people will determine how to play against him or with him. And that might be the case. I mean, he did just come out this past week, so maybe by next week we'll see a lot less OP messages in chat and a lot less people raging about it.
One of the biggest things too is cripple shuts him down really, really hard. Since
Yep.
his 1 and his 3 are both considered leaps, if you cripple him, he cannot use his 1, nor can he use his 3 to get any damage out of those abilities. The other thing too is while you are using the brutalize, the slashes that are falling someone, you are not CC immune. It is not considered an animation. It is not considered a leap or a dash. You don't just disjoint attacks. So you are free to be CC'd or interrupted or damaged in any way. If you're playing like an Apollo, if he jumps on you with a 3, you immediately mesmerize and his 3 is wasted. If you are playing a Naja, he jumps on you, turn on Armillary Sash his face and stun him immediately. Anyone with a CC effect, anyone with any kind of interrupt will be able to just stop him from doing so. And that's pretty much the majority of his damage is going to be from his brutalize. Now, if you look at Fenrir without his brutalize, or if he doesn't get full effectiveness out of it, he's very squishy and doesn't really have a whole lot. So you look at characters like Ares, you can just throw a chain on him and kind of stare at him. He's nothing you really do while that cripple is active. You see a Poseidon cripple. I think there are tons of counters to Fenrir, and if he doesn't get farmed early, then he doesn't really do too much. Now, the reason why I think Fenrir is kind of running rampant, throughout the brackets right now is the fact that he has a very, very strong level 1. So if you use a Girdle Might tier 3 or a damage buff or anything like that to help you out, you can easily jump on someone and kill them, 100 to like 5 right away if they're not careful. So it's a very, very strong combination at level 1. That's probably one of the biggest reasons as well. But it's also the fact that people are being really, really passive against the Fenrir without realizing just how squishy he really is. I mean, if you just turn around and fight him instead of running away, a lot of times he will die type thing, especially if he jumps in on team fight and big areas. I don't think he has that strong of a team fight. He has a good initiation with his ultimate. He can pick someone up and drag them back to a tower or something like that. But beyond that, his team fight is not very strong. And if you focus on him and CC him just like any other assassin or physical damage dealer, he will die.
But he's so scary. I know, right? He is really cool, and as the gods are progressing throughout the game, they're just getting like so much more fun to play, and so cool. Just in general, the graphics are being so much better than if we went back like a year ago, or whatever, and looked at some of the gods. So Fenrir, I think. Final thoughts for me. Really great god. Really interested to see where he plays into the competitive scene like a month from now. What about you? Final thoughts?
I like him. I think he needs a little bit of adjustment on his early damage, maybe the scaling, make it lower base and then higher scaling or anything like that. But overall, I think he's a really great god, and I think he's gonna go the way of Naja, where it's gonna be like OP, 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 and the next week is just okay. Who do we pick? Who do we ban? Just completely falls off the map. Everyone forgot about Naja completely. I mean, they were complaining so hard and so long for Naja, and then all of a sudden, they didn't change anything, they didn't do anything, and he's just gone. No one cares anymore. So I think just give it time, and then Fenrir will fall into the darkness that is the should have been OP, coulda, shoulda, woulda type thing.
Sure, definitely. Moving on to the next section of this past week's patch notes. New skins. We saw Surfin' He Bro come out along with Frostfang Fenrir, but both are really, really cool. I'm really happy with the Hebrew skin. It's definitely worth it. I mean, I bought it right away. What about you? What are your thoughts on both these skins?
Surprisingly enough, this is the only character they released where I like the basic skin and like the skin that came with it on release. So I like both the Fenrir's skin. I like both the arts. When I play Fenrir, I swap back and forth. I'll play like the black one game, and I'll play the blue one the next game, and just go back and forth because I really like them. The Hebrew skin, obviously very unique, very cool. New animations, new sounds, new everything, and just the first time I heard his taunts, I died laughing because it was hilarious. Especially remembering the video that they got it from. It's just really, really cool to see them implementing that and just having fun with it while they're also doing tournaments and all that kind of stuff.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, I definitely like the Hebrew skin, just with like the animation of the shark swimming with you when you die, the way the shark interacts. So really, really cool. Jumping into the next section here, we have voice packs. And this is something new to the game. Players can now purchase custom voice packs for Neith and Fenrir. Voice packs can be purchased from the gods menu. Packs will be available for additional gods in the future. Once purchased, the voice pack is always used for that god, regardless of the skin choice. In the future, some epic skins may overwrite the standard skin choice. So, overall, what are your thoughts on voice packs? It's something new to the game. I've heard a lot of back and forth kind of thoughts on it.
I think they're awesome. I think the voices are already in the game, so they may as well utilize them. They just need to add a little bit more to them and make them available. One thing that's important to note that not everyone realizes is if you buy a voice pack for a god, you will only have that voice while playing that god. So if you purchase the Fenrir voice pack, you will not have that voice unless you are Fenrir. And same thing for the Naja or the Neath voice pack. Apologies. So if you won't have that voice unless you're playing those characters. Now, obviously, it's going to be for your favorite character that you play a lot. You're not going to be like, I play the character, once a week. I'm going to buy a voice pack for it. I bought the Fenrir voice pack just to see. I think it was really cool. I wanted to try it out, and I think I like Fenrir a lot. Obviously, we'll see what happens to him if the cries of everyone crying wolf, pun intended there, on top of Fenrir, if he's still relevant after anything that happens to him, we'll see. But I really like it, and I think it's a really cool addition. It's something for people to spend their gems on.
Sure, I think the voice packs are a really good marketing kind of centralized point for high-res. It's a really good ROI. I mean, if you look at it, this is a free-to-play game. So the way that high-res is making money and continuing to put money back into the scene is not only through the sale of gems, but now they're adding into voice packs. So this is just another channel and method for them to make money. I think it's a really good idea that they pretty much put together voice packs for all the gods. I think it would be a really nice idea, give people a lot of choices. The only thing I've seen people complain about, if people are wondering, is like some people are complaining, I don't want to hear some of those voice packs. I don't want to hear someone spamming that. And so if that gets to be such an issue, put an option that's not defaultly set in the settings under audio that just says disable not original voice packs. But it's not turned on defaultly. And then some of the people can go in there and check it off if it really irritates them. But I guarantee 99% of the people aren't really going to care and really enjoy some of those voice packs. And the only other option I saw, which it reminded me kind of like an iTunes store, is like, what if they allowed the public to upload voice packs? Like, I know it sounds really goofy, but let's just an example. Let's say the public put together a voice pack for I don't know, Ra, and then it was approved by high-res, and then it could be uploaded. Just a thought, and then it could be purchased. I'm not seeing it directly as like a sales outlet for the person that did it, but it was just a thought. I think it's a little drastic, and some people might disagree because it jeopardizes the quality, integrity, but it was just a thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to make their own packs. I know Smitten wants one, and everyone wants one for Bart or Lionheart or whatever. I think
or Dry Bear.
Nah, no one wants that.
Oh, come on!
They want Octane Pro though.
Voice? Yeah.
They want that Octane Pro.
If you're getting an Octane Pro one, it's going to be me raging all the time. That's all you get. Trust me, people that watch my stream, they're like, oh, here he goes.
Off he goes. That's like everyone that plays Smite ever.
Yep, I know. But anyway, it's just an idea. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the general section, and I'll let you take it away.
For sure. So the first thing is going to be you can now spectate the matches of friends that are currently in a match from the social friends menu. You can be spectating a minimum 3-minute delay. This is something that I was like, oh, that's cool, and then I didn't realize how many people were going to be watching me play games. Like, someone tweeted me a picture of them spectating me. They're like, here's you playing, and then people will message me like, I'm watching you right now. And it's just like I get all these messages all the time, and I'm wondering if it's affecting any of the spectating. I think we had some stasis issues today. I think a little bit yesterday as well. I think that's just from people just flooding the spectator system and watching people that they love to watch type thing. So I think it's really cool to be able to have that. It's something that's in League of Legends. It's something that's in Dota. It's something that's just really, really cool. I mean, a lot of times if you're playing with friends and your friends aren't in a game, you're like, oh, I'll just wait for you to finish. It's fun to be able to just watch the game they're playing and talk about it and, enjoy that aspect of it. So I think it's really cool to have this in there.
So just questions about that. It looks like it's limited to social with friends. So you have to be friends with the person in order to spectate them. Is this, as someone who's kind of under the eye, even more than I am within the scene, does this make you want to go ahead and remove some people from your friends list just to limit the amount of people that are kind of I don't want to say spying, but that are kind of hovering over your shoulder as you play? Be truthful.
I don't think I have enough free time to filter through my friends list anymore.
Okay.
It's just throughout the day I have like 500 to 600 people online at one time. And then at nighttime it'll be like 200 to 300. So it's just, I don't know. Sure. It would be a daunting task. I just kind of leave it. If anyone wants to watch me, they can watch me. It's not a big deal. Sure. But I just think it's really cool.
Do you think there needs to be, now this might come down especially for some competitive players, and they might need to filter through their list, but some type of option that says do not allow friend spectatorship. I know it's a different thing when it comes down to people that actually have spectator mode, which is pretty limited. There isn't a ton of people. That would kind of be. I'm just thinking like different permission levels. But do you think there should be some type of checkbox that just says, hey, I don't really want people watching me?
Definitely. I think that would be a really, really smart idea. It's something that they should be able to limit if they, desire to.
Yeah. Okay. Just a thought there.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of. I mean, Octane Pro, the idea master. He's the idea guy.
That's right. High Res. Hire me as your think tank.
The think tank. There you go. So the next thing is going to be that challenge matches for Assault, Arena, Conquest, and Domination can now be set up as 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, or 5v5. I haven't had too much experience with this, but I really like the idea of it.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. So I'm going to show my nerdness here. 2v2 and 3v3s. I know people are going to say don't do it, but look at WoW and like the arena, like 2 versus 2 and 3 versus 3. Can you imagine them bringing that over almost to a competitive side? Like, you could do, not necessarily arena, I think it's too big, but what if you did like a joust map in a 2 versus 2? Or an assault map or joust map in a 3 versus 3 and made it competitive and had rankings with it and everything? I think it'd be awesome. I don't think that they should limit it to challenge matches. I think they should open it up to an actual queue, because I would love to be like, all right, we got team Octane Pro and Dry Bear right here in a 2 versus 2. And we're going to queue up and play people, and it's ranked. And it could be so casual, though. Like, think of it. Like, you and your friend who are new to the game, they want to kind of be a little competitive, but they don't have enough people to go ahead and create a full 5s team. So they just want to do 2s or 3s. And, you can queue up. You can kind of be competitive on your own with you and your friend without needing to be in this entire huge team base. I mean, I think it'd be really cool. Do you see any negative side of doing something like that?
As long as they just kind of casually do it, I mean, it changes the implications of the map. The map has to be adjusted, and making smaller numbers like 3v3s, especially, or even 4v4s, it changes everything about about the map and the competitive aspect. But if it's just for casual, there's no real downside to it. I mean, you just want to throw it out and let people do their 2v2s or 3v3s. I know there was I like in houses, and sometimes you don't have 10 people, so it's just really cool to be able to just do 4, 5, 6, whatever, and be able to play that out and practice your lane comps or face off against other players and do all kinds of crazy stuff without having to go out of your way to make something special.
Yeah, I agree.
So next thing is saved profiles in the character builder screen now appear in the item store as favorite items, replacing the recommended list. If you have not saved a profile for a god, you will continue to see the recommended items. This is something that I haven't touched on too much either, but it's just really cool that they added it. And of course, you can just go through and make all your favorite builds for the gods, put them in your favorite section, and then be able to just reference that when you need to.
Yeah, I need to do this at like work sometime. That's like the only time I think I could ever have time to actually go in and start to put together some of these character builders. I haven't had the opportunity to, but from the people that I've talked to, they really like it. I'm definitely one of those people which I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go through the store and purchase things depending on the situation, which is pretty typical for a lot of players. But I'll have to try it out. I'll have to try it out at some point and discuss it a little bit more. Maybe I'll try it at work when I should be working.
That's what work is for, man.
That's right.
SMITE.
That's right.
Next thing is performance improvements is made to the in-game Twitch broadcast function. It's not exactly where it should be just yet, but definitely improving that. So nothing really special there. Achievements have been added for completing the tutorial the first time, and for winning a match in arena and joust practice for the first time with a god. These give modest favor rewards. Of course, it's not really something that you would want to do day by day. Finish the tutorial just for some small amount of favor. But it's a good little addition that really helps people out. The next thing, of course, is going to be the god list in the match lobby, and the god screen now scrolls instead of pages, which is awesome. I think the god list paging over and paging back was so obnoxious.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's really nice that they've kind of made this. It's kind of funny how just a little change means like a huge world of difference.
Most definitely, yeah. It's really easy to just scroll down and pick the god you want. You're just like, oh, I need Zeus. Oh, I got it. Let me page over.
Alrighty, well, moving on in the general section, the home screen now provides the ability to easily switch between the various 3D promotion scenes. Okay, Um, don't see anything crazy about that. Kind of nice though. The match lobby now displays the name of the queue from which your match is launched. And we also have the last skin played with a god is now saved with your profile. That's kind of cool. Really kind of happy to see that. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people where I kind of pick the same skin over and over again for a
Right,
god.
right.
So that's kind of nice to see. And then finally here, if you purchase a god while in the match lobby, it is now selected for you after that purchase. I don't know about that. We'll see. Um, I don't know. That could kind of be a problem. I don't know why they would do that, to be honest. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
you
it's just
just
me.
buy it, and then if you're buying it in the lobby, that means you're renting it or something like that. You really want to have it,
Sure.
so it'll be obviously it's your generally if you're doing that, your plan is to play the character. So I really like
I guess
the
it's.
fact of the skins too. I mean, if you think about it, if you buy like a high seas
Yep.
Sobek skin, which is 600 gems, or the Hebo skin, which is 600 gems, I mean, you're really gonna play basic Hebo or basic Sobek after that. So you're
Yeah.
always gonna be playing that
Yeah.
skin. So I like how it locks.
Yep. Yep. And then furthermore, here we have your choice of casting type in settings is now stored in the database against your account. So it should follow you between your different PCs. That's kind of nice to see. So you don't have to kind of go in there and set things back up time and time again. Uh, the only thing I'd like to see more and more of is some of the additional settings to be added to the database. I guess database. I guess they're referring to, guys, is more the server side for high res. Something that bothers me. Just here's another one of my thoughts that really would be nice, and maybe it's just me, but do you adjust the UI at all, the scale of the UI when you play Smite, or do you use the default?
I change it daily. I mean, it has to be full size for my Smite game stream, and then when I do the shoutcasting, I adjust it again, then I adjust it back and forth. It just depends on what I'm doing. I do the full size just so everyone can see and it fits the UI really well.
Sure.
But and then when the shoutcasting, I'm gonna make sure it all fits and the map's not bigger than the scoreboard or anything like that. So I just adjust it for more broadcasting things.
Tell me, it wouldn't be nice if they actually put the sizing on there with a number scale compared to a slider bar, because it drives me nuts where I literally every time they come out with a patch, I need to go in and try to figure out the perfect point where it was at before with a little slider bar compared to being like, oh, I was at number 3 or I was at number
Oh yeah,
8.
definitely, without a doubt.
Oh.
Without a doubt, that's not even a question. That would be perfect. And the other thing too is just like if the slider bar is going to be there, why does it only go up to like a third? And then beyond that,
Yes.
it doesn't matter where you put it. It's just already at max. So max is like a third of the bar, and then beyond that, you can just play with it for fun. It's just like a little mini game.
Yep. Okay. I'm glad it's not me, because like every time after a patch, I like look over at my other monitor, like XSplit. I'm like, all right, I got to get it perfect. Oh, that didn't work. Go back. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, and I spend like 3 to 5 minutes trying to get it to work right. Where literally just put in a few slashes and some number scheme there for me.
Oh yeah.
Please, someone from iRes, pass that on to your development team. All right, moving on. Fix an issue where Cyclops were not playing a death sound when the ragdoll, during the ragdoll of death. Fixed an issue where idle sounds could still be heard on dead ragdoll bodies. That's kind of weird. The Minotaur can no longer be critted and no longer gives lifesteal similar to towers. It's kind of a pretty important point. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's nice. Obviously, it's the same thing you see in Domination, where the physical carries are the ones that are clearing out the sand guardians really quickly because they have the high crits and the high single target damage, whereas the magic damage dealers don't do as much to that. So it's, standardizing it and making it so it's about the same, killing it. You need a lot of group damage to be able to take it down, and not just a Fed on her comes in and goes later Minotaur and just starts burning them and critting all over the place. So I think it's a really good addition.
Yeah, I actually saw last weekend. I forget what team it was. I think it was BLGEU. The Apollo actually, they went to go fake out like they were going to go for Fire Giant to bait the opposite team, and the Minotaur had like a fourth of health. So all of a sudden you saw Apollo take off from Fire Giant, land at their Minotaur, and solo the Minotaur and kill the Minotaur. And I was like, oh, I was like, ridiculous. And they actually used the teleporter too, which was awesome.
That is so cool.
But yeah, they used teleporter to bring their entire team to Fire Giant to bait the other team so that Apollo could go ahead and sneak in. Kind of cool. Shows a lot of talent, a lot of creativity. But back to the original point with the patch notes, I think it was good to standardize and actually make the Minotaur a little bit harder to kill compared to just one god being able to jump in there.
Right, I agree.
Minions have been made slightly smaller. Okay. I guess that has to do with like the only thing I can relate this to is something with Fenrir, like with the growth of him and the sizing that they wanted to do. I don't know. I didn't see him as an issue, but whatever. The match lobby, God screen, and home screen have undergone visual improvements, and we'll actually talk about kind of the God selection screen, where now you kind of have those pedestals. What do you think? Pretty cool.
I think it's awesome. I think it's really, really cool, and it just makes the look and the feel of the game just much more enjoyable.
Yeah, yep, I agree. The normal conquest queue again accepts 4 to 5 person teams. The algorithm for matching these teams has been tweaked. And then finally the free god rotation is now Freya, Hades, Loki, Shablanke, and Zeus. Any last thoughts on some of those changes or not really?
No, just a small little adjustments and something that people have been playing with for a while. So it's a lot of cool stuff going on, a lot of happy little changes that makes everyone like jump for joy at how cool it looks or anything like that. So I think it's really cool that they're adding that kind of stuff in.
Sure.
So going to the next changes, which is going to be the spectator changes. Again, as always, we're going to just kind of roll through this, not really spend too much time on it. As always, it's just pretty much me and Octane and maybe someone who's in chat who does cast or not, but it means more to us than it would be to a general viewer. So of course, the first thing is they smoothed out rotation into isometric view. This doesn't get too much use nowadays. It's kind of an awkward view for SMITE. It doesn't really pay tribute to the third person aspect, so you don't really see too many casters utilizing this. They fixed an issue with a field of bow popping out when going in and out of isometric view. Again, another isometric issue. They fixed an issue in which a match could close prematurely if a spectator left the match lobby. This doesn't happen too often, but obviously it's something that you don't want to ever have happen ever. Yeah, it's not really a good thing to have happen, so they fixed that little bug there. Spectator min-max heights are now configurable via input.ini config file.
Where is that? Where is that? I tried to find that because I wanted to adjust the height. I feel that in normal mode, when you're not in isometric view, you're not getting a high enough view of the entire area. Do you know where that file is?
I haven't looked for it now.
All right, if anyone in chat knows where it is, please let me know, because I'd love to be able to increase the ceiling of my view. Because sometimes, like when you're around Fire Giant trying to view a bait going on and stuff like that, you can't like get high enough. Like, and I hate the isometric view. This is not League of Legends. Get rid of it. But it drives me nuts. I'm like, you develop a game which is in third person, and you give us this beautiful spectating mode, and then you give us isometric view to pull it back to the way the League of Legends is. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm out.
Later.
I don't like it. Pretty much. Anyways, I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? Go back to what you were saying.
So yeah, I don't really know where the file is. You can look for it and find it. I would like to increase the height, be able to go up higher. Something that's really one of the biggest benefits of isometric view. As you look at ultimates like Thor or Naja, when you're in isometric view, you will be above them, so you can see them when they're up in the air. Thor obviously can fly, and Naja takes her enemy up into the air to fight her or fight them in this crazy cutscene type thing. I tried today to be able to look up at the Naja ultimate, but it's just can't go high enough to be able to see it unless you look up. So it'd be nice to be able to increase the height there and mess with that. So I'll probably look at that after this. And of course, they added a default start height for the top-down viewpoint, also configurable via the mysterious input file. And then they fixed a rare crash issue with Hell and spectating. I didn't have too much experience with this. I think I heard of one case of it happening. I didn't think it happened too much. But again, you don't really want to have one character who breaks the game in certain situations. So they're going to fix that bug. So a bunch of bug fixes there for spectator. Nothing too huge, but definitely a lot of stuff that needed to happen because there were just some crashes and bugs and all kinds of problems here. So let's go ahead and head into map changes. The first one is going to be Assault. An issue in which Blink would not work in Assault mode has been fixed. This was super frustrating. I did this on stream. I was just sitting there getting active items on Assault map, and I never play Assault. I play Assault like very, very rarely. And I was in an Assault game, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to Aegis Blink. And then chat was like, I looked over at chat, and they're like, what are you doing now? And I was like, what happened? And she's like, you can't use Blink. So I just spent the whole game not able to use it. So I'm glad they fixed that.
Where was the hotfix? Like, seriously, you implement an item, but the end of game mode, and then it doesn't work, but it allows you to buy it. I'm like, seriously, like, put in a hotfix that just, like, grays out the item or something. Like, don't let it sit there for, like, over a week. It just drives me nuts. It's beta. You can hotfix anytime. You don't owe any explanation to us. We are beta testers. Like, it drove me nuts. I did the same exact thing, and I was like, really? Really?
What?
I was so angry. Anyways, go back to what you're doing.
Next thing is Assault Game Mode now does not allow some snowball items. Book of Thought, Devourer's Gloves, Doom Orb, Gauntlet of Thieves, Heartseeker, Shielded Recoil, Transcendence, and Warlock Sash. This was for both ends of the spectrum, the low end and the high end. Obviously, people snowballing and getting really, really out of control with those. And also at the low end where people were buying stacking items and then not, stacking them up or just dying a bunch and having that effectiveness there. So it's more, it fits the idea of Assault. I mean, what do you think about this?
Um, I think if someone is dumb enough to buy one of these snowball items in an assault lineup, um, they deserve to lose it. I mean, they should not limit the items depending on the game type. I don't agree that they do that at all, and I really don't think they should. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree that they should be taken out and not be allowed. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I had the same thing when I ran ARAMs before they had Assault Game Mode before. They're like, you can't have stacking. And I was like, you can buy stacking items. I don't care. Because obviously the streamer who's hosting it sets the rules, and like, oh, those are the set rules. I was like, you can buy as many stacking items as you want. You want to go Heartseeker? Go ahead, man. I'm just gonna kill you, and you're gonna lose all your stacks, and then I'm gonna be a happy camper. So I just had no issue with that addition there. But I guess it's more of a standardization type thing for the Assault Game Mode. Next thing is the spawn area architecture has been reworked again to prevent gods from sitting on top of other gods. We saw people surfing on top of Arachne's head or anything like that, and we could even see like Vamana would clear the path and knock people back into the well, and they can heal and then jump back down or anything like that. So they're just adjusting that to make sure that it is truly, once you leave the well, you cannot leave the well, and you obviously cannot take a piggyback ride onto your allies.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree. It was kind of funny to see that Arachne video. That was pretty good.
Next thing is going to be the shop in will. The shop in will now. What? The shop in will now turn off after a player leaves the base and will not be able to, or available if a player manages to return to it. So again, just a small adjustments there. Sometimes you'd use the shop when you really shouldn't have been able to. There's a few bugs with that as far as Assault Game Modes goes. The next thing is the spawn area no longer offers heals to friendly players. However, it will still damage enemy opponents who manage to make it into the spawn area. So it's just, sometimes it would heal when you weren't in it, or just general bug fixes for Assault, as it is the most recent release of game mode.
I want to know how to get into the spawn area as an opponent.
Well, it'd be like the same thing if Vamana can knock an ally, or it depends on whose Vamana was on what side or whatever. There's just ways to be able to. I mean, Hebo could knock you in there as well, which is really easy for people to just kind of just pop you up and just like, here you go, here's a little boost, and you just jump up into the well and then buy some things and jump back down. Obviously, it was less prevalent for putting enemies in there than it was for but it did seem to happen a good amount.
Yeah, definitely. Jumping into the next map changes, are actually the jungle practice. I'm just going to go through these real quick. Fixed an issue where players would not be able to use the shop in the recall location. Fixed an issue where the ground effect for the fire giant was not being seen. Fixed an issue where the robot would constantly kill himself trying to leave his encounter area. And the speed buff icon in Temple is now orange instead of green to match the buff color. And it looks like we also have tentative changes have been made to fix issue where Ra would not level up. Changes have been made around the level up volume, which was only working to level up one player. And then finally, the message alert for individual practice segments should now only show to one player instead of all players in that instance. So I've actually never used jungle practice. Have you ever tried it out?
No.
No.
I'm the master of the jungle. I don't need no practice. But it just seems like more bug fixes, so.
That's right. Go back to your League of Legends. All right. Anyways, jumping in here, guys. We're not going to go through all of the items with the active items, because literally it's like a list, I think, of every active item, or almost every active item. But we'll kind of just breeze over some. So let's see. For example, Motive and Portal have been removed from the game. All right, whatever. Any thoughts on that for you?
Motivate was strong. I think it would have fit fine in the new system because there's a whole lot of other strong things now. I think that there's a good balance of the active items, and they're all pretty valuable overall. I don't know about Motivate being removed there. Portal, Again, I think with the new system, there's so many available options. Maybe they just didn't know how they wanted to implement the tier 3 of those items, or
Yep.
couldn't think of a way to do that. It's possible that that is the situation, or maybe they just didn't like having it in the game. But again, it's just like, well, whatever.
Yeah. Yep. No, I agree. And then we also hear active items now have 3 ranks. So if you guys were unfamiliar, prior to this patch, you bought Aegis. You had the full Aegis. It was everything that Aegis could be. It was one cost, one rank, compared to like your skills where you actually level them up. Now you active items now have 3 ranks, similar to regular items. The price for the ranks is 250 gold for rank 1, rank 2 is 500 gold, and rank 3 is 1,000 gold. So overall thoughts. You really commented on really liking this. Are there any items that really stand out to you now that the ranking system has been implemented that didn't stand out prior to?
Oh, definitely. Meditation's one of them. Hand of the Gods is one of them. I
Yep.
mean, like, there's so many items that are just like they were untouched before, and now they're actually really good. I mean, we could just do like a brief breeze over what the tier 3. Obviously, when you buy the tiered items, it's cheap in the beginning. You keep spending more and more gold on it. The
Yep.
cooldowns will release. You'll get bonus effects on it. You look at the Hand of the Gods, where it just does damage to AoE to minions. At tier 2, it
Yep.
will be able to finish off objectives at 10% of their HP. And then at tier 3, you will have 20% of their HP. You'll be able to finish off objectives like the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant. And of course, it'll add a stun there. So now Hand of the Gods has a stun at tier 3. Meditation will have a maximum HP heal on top of the mana, plus a mana regeneration in Aura. There also will have the Beads, which has a CDR on it. So when you use it, it reduces all
Yep.
cooldown by 5 seconds, which is a huge amount. I mean, you look at the Aegis Amulet has a 20% damage reduction after you use it. The blink is down on a 45-second cooldown and gives you movement speed when you use it at tier 3. The creeping curse will also reduce their healing, so it's like a healing reduction for 50% for the duration, so it's good against heal teams. The girdle of might obviously not only has physical power, both base and percentage based, but also has a percentage based penetration on it at tier 3, which is huge. Hand of the Gods will have that stun, of course we touched on that. And then heavenly agility will increase the healing done by allies around you after you use it. Meditation has, of course, as we touched on, the maximum HP heal, which is crazy. And then the Shielded Recall, which really doesn't get used at all, will also give you a 50% movement speed when you come out of the well from recalling back in. And Sprint, which is just crazy on Freya. Oh my god,
Yep.
it's terrifying on Freya. When activated, will increase your movement speed. It also makes you immune to slows, and you no longer have the movement penalty while firing for 4 seconds.
Yeah, and I think that last statement there with the sprint, you no longer have the movement penalty while firing for 4 seconds. I think that's awesome. Big thing that's definitely, even though you just went through pretty much every item. Girdle of Might, oh, so scary, and it's like so like necessary now. Like, it's just disgusting. Girdle of Might to pretty much have that available, and the rank 3 of Girdle of Might is just so strong. So, the only thing I have to say, and I commented on this on my own stream, is that. We've seen a lot of changes with the active items. Used to be called abilities, whatever. It's kind of frustrating to see high res making such a huge game change this far into beta when 2 months back they were like, we're done making huge changes. Examples, stats, when they made the passive changes for the abilities, active items. And now all of a sudden they're doing this, and it's like, really? Like, you just said you weren't going to make huge game changes. Like, this is huge. Like, this is game changing right here. So that kind of frustrates me to be like, hey, get back to where you were. You were working on your balance. You were working on new gods. What are you doing? This is the only thing that kind of frustrates me about it, because it's like, come on now, guys. Like, you said you were done playing. Like, stop playing. But it seems pretty good. It doesn't seem to break the game, kind of like what stats did, but. I feel like this is their the way that they're dealing with the gold sink issue, where like you get towards a certain point in a certain time into the game, and then they're like, all right, you have so much gold, what do you do with it? And I feel like this is just a gold sink, pretty much making it so that you progress through your items slower because of the cost of the active items at early game. Because it's so easy in early game to be like, all right, I'm going to get my first item, and then I'm going to put all my money directly into active items. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it adds a lot of depth to the game. I think it changes everything up, and there's a lot of times where you would skip items, like you said, in favor of getting active items early on in the game. Now it's not you. I think it adjusts the way it was before. Because you look at the active items, all you would do is you'd have a Hand of the Gods on one of your tanks, you'd have a Girl Might on one of your tanks, and then everyone else would have Beads Aegis or Beads Sprint. It was always the same. The active items were just
Yep.
very, very slim and specific. They would fit into one little box, and everything would be exactly the same. Now you see, Blink Hand of the Gods, Emir, or you see Meditation Beads, Hebo. It's just these items which weren't being picked up before are now being picked up, and it also adjusts your starting item builds. You see Fenrir going for tier 3 Girdle of Might and not even buying any items at all type thing. You see all these kind of adjustments coming in and just adds a lot more depth to the game, and I think it allows for more versatility in the early stages of the game, which means that it's going to be very, very more. It's going to be much more different in the starting stages versus this rote specific schedule that you would go on. You go in the lane, then you get a buff, and then you go get the buff, and you go back to the lane, and then you fight, and then you maybe get a kill, and you go get the buff, and then you go back and you buy items, and then after 15 minutes you go for the gold 3. And now it's not as exact as it used to be. And I really like the fact that it's splitting everything up, and we see items like Meditation, who previously weren't being picked up. We see items like Hand of the Gods, where pretty much necessary. Something that came to light today is the fact that one team had Tier 2 Hand of the Gods, and then one team at Tier 3 Hand of the Gods. The difference there being that the Tier 2 Hand of the Gods will be able to finish off an objective at 10% HP, whereas a Tier 3 Hand of the Gods will be able to finish off an objective at 20% HP. So since one of those teams elected to get that Tier 3 Hand of the Gods sooner, they now have the opportunity to finish off the Fire Giant at 20% HP instead of 10%, which means they can't even attempt to steal it unless they have that Tier 3 Hand of the Gods up on their team as well.
Huh, interesting. I mean, so yeah, it's like this whole new meta developing around the active items, when to get certain ranks, and what items are pretty much your cookie cutter. It's interesting because now it's, I mean, I know I raged before, but it's interesting because now it's like, all right, there's certain items that you need to have, but because there's so many items that are so valuable for across the team, it's not like everyone's using the same thing anymore. It's like, it's all dependent on your team build and lane comps and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting.
Most definitely. And I think it adds a lot of depth, and as long as it stays balanced, it's a really cool addition.
Sure. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the item section of the patch notes.
Vampiric Shroud now benefits if your pets kill the enemy. So if you get that last hit with a pet, something like that, like spiders or cats or anything like that, the rank 3 passive item was only activating once every 5 seconds, is now set to activate once every 2 seconds. The description now also shows how often it can occur, which is really cool. There, it's something that kind of really only affected, like, if you had a big burst of last hits, when you clear a full wave, or someone like Freya who would like to just constantly poke with her pulse, and that cooldown was kind of irritating if you got a lot of kills all at once. So it makes Vampiric Shroud a little bit closer to Death's Toll as far as regeneration and sustain goes. Have you had a lot of experience with this?
More with Freya. I'm actually kind of happy about the adjustment that we see here with it. I will say I'm one to use Ponpon's Freya build. I think it's very good and very effective, and definitely with Vampiric Shroud, I definitely see it playing a role.
So go ahead and hop into the god changes here. The first one is going to be Serenade for Apollo, is when he sings and mesmerizes everyone around him. Not only does this mesmerize targets around him, it also adds up to 50 additional protections for 5 seconds after firing. This is a much needed change for Apollo. I think he was, to be able to utilize the Serenade effectively, he had to put himself in some pretty sticky situations. So I think that protection really fits with the ability conceptually.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, with Apollo, if you're using his ultimate or any of his other abilities and you're diving in there and you're actually using Serenade, you're pretty much getting directly into the heat of the battle. And so I think this is quite effective. I played him yesterday, and definitely saw this quite a bit. Made it a little bit easier to kind of jump in there and actually use this ability. So I'm happy with the change. I think it was definitely needed.
Most definitely. So the next thing is going to be Hebo. The visual effects for Hebo have been upgraded along with the addition of the
Okay.
Hebrew skin, so it's something that's very, very visually appealing. Looks like very solid streams of water. Looks really, really cool if you see it in game. But the passive steady flow, the amount of magical power increased after using the ability, has been changed from 5% per stack up to 10% per stack. So instead of 15% total scaling on his passive, it is now 30% total scaling on his passive. I think Hebo needed this. I don't know if
Yep.
it's as much as he needed, but definitely adds a whole lot of damage to Hebo. And we saw Hebo getting picked up constantly today.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I can see definitely. I mean, the adjustment is quite significant there. Um, Hebo actually hasn't had really any changes in quite a long time, so I think this is a long time coming, to be honest with you.
Most definitely. Next thing is going to be Hercules' strength from pain. His passive, the amount of additional physical power based on percentage of his missing HP, has been increased from 20 plus 2 per level to 30 plus 3 per level. So now Hercules does more damage from his passive.
I can see it. I mean, Hercules is kind of a unique character. Just looking at all different game modes, I've seen Hercules go tanky actually with assault. So I'm kind of happy to see that they're actually trying to focus him a little bit more on that physical power type of style as a god, and he deserved a buff. I mean, he wasn't. Some people complained when he first came out, as you were talking about, all the rage when a god comes out, and people complain that they're overpowered. Some people complained a lot with Hercules when he first came out, but I mean, I think this was needed. Same thing with the Hebo type of style. What about you? Do you think this was needed, or no? Do you disagree?
I think I liked him where he was. I think he was really, really strong. In a good
Okay.
situation. He kind of started out being the end all be all, and then he kind of turned into more of a support tank, and then all of a sudden they changed his scaling on his all of his abilities and the damage that he dealt, which turned him more of a brawler damage dealer. It seems like they really wanted to put him into that kind of situation, which he did fall into that, and I think he was in a good spot there. Maybe now he'll get more out of his passive, and it'll help him out, and that doesn't really affect his it doesn't affect his overall play, just his individual damage when he gets low on HP. So we'll see if that affects him at all. I mean, again, he's still not getting picked up that much anymore, as much as he used to, as the new gods are coming out and all the new additions are coming through. So I mean, we'll see how much it affects him overall. But I don't know if he definitely needed a buff. I think he was just in a good, comfortable position, personally, anyway.
Sure, sure. So moving on to the last few gods here of the notes. Kali, Bloodlash, the base damage has been reduced from 85, 155, 225, 295, 365 to 75, 140, 205, 270, and 335. Thank God! Oh, Kali. And the physical power contribution has been reduced from 110% to 100. So you kind of know how I feel there. Do you agree with that this was needed for her, or were you happy where she was at?
I think it's a whole you get your blood going, and all of a sudden, pun intended there. But it
Yeah,
seems
right.
like it. I don't know. Everyone's like so like Kali, Kali, oh my God, Kali, and then they're like, aha, nerf, and then nerf, and then I mean, she's not much better than she was originally. Now at this point, I mean,
Okay.
she still kind of gets picked up and played, but her damage is a little limited. It's just it's back to the original point where she's not really doing enough to contribute, especially if she falls behind. She's more of a momentum character where if you don't pick up that speed, you really don't do too much. So again, I mean, she was doing a great amount of damage and maybe putting more damage on her other abilities and taking away from that Bloodlash burst. And adjusting this was to address that. But again, I think it's more of like a poor Kali type situation.
Sure. Next guy here, Nisha Armillary Sash. The description of his ability was incorrectly displaying 150% contribution. It has been corrected to 50. Wow, that's a huge difference. To match the actual contributions in the game. Yeah, way to go, high res. And we also have Ra under General. Ra's model and that of his skins has undergone significant visual modifications. Do you miss the old Ra?
I like everything except for the face on the new Ra. You'll see it on screen. This is on screen. You'll see the red solar eclipse skin that you get from Facebook, which originally was a terrible skin, and everyone hated it. But I really like it now. And the gray and the
Yeah.
silver with the red looks really, really clean. I like the model overall. I think the Falcon face was more of to pay tribute to possible lore, I think it's closer to what Ra should be depicted as, and that's really what they wanted to
Sure.
adjust there. I love the body. I think the new body is awesome. I think the new art looks awesome, and everything looks really cool. But the face is it's a little awkward sometimes when you look at it, isn't? And maybe it's because we've been playing Smite for so long, we're used to that fat chicken face that we see all over the place. And now we just see this Falcons, which is a little bit different. But I think it's a good update to the abilities. I was pretty upset to see that the Alienware skin still doesn't have blue effects.
Yep.
I was so looking forward to that. I thought it was going to have blue effects, and I wanted blue laser beams. It would have made my day to have blue otter pot beams just shooting out all over the place. But alas, they didn't put the effects up on that skin.
So which one came first, the chicken or the falcon? Come on now. No, I definitely agree. I like the falcon look a little bit more. The body, tremendous difference, a huge difference there. But I will just some discussion about that with skins. If they're going to make a skin adjustment for just a quick color reskin, they should spend the time to do it right and change up the abilities. And what I mean by that is exactly what you said. Like the Facebook Red Ra, we'll call him, should be everything should be red. All of his abilities should be that red look. And the blue Alienware one, everything should be blue. Like if they're gonna do it right, high res. In all honesty, like do it right. We want to see some difference. We want to see a little bit more uniqueness when it comes down to our god selection with our skins. Let's not limit it. I mean, it's so weird to use a god that's one color, but then his abilities are a complete other. Like, hey, we're going to use the Alienware Ra, but everything he shoots out is yellow. It's like, what? It's like, come on, way to half-ass it. Like, let's do it right. Yeah, so we have the Ra skins going on there, and I really hope that high-res starts to make those adjustments there. Moving forward, and like every god they come out with, all their skins are done right. Finally, Vamana, Sleeping Giant, the amount of physical protection converted to physical power has been increased from 15% to 20%. So a little bit of a buff there of 5%. What are your thoughts? Did you think Sleeping Giant really needed this?
I think Vamana needed something. He really wasn't back up to his original state of being the one who can get in and get out, get to the back lines and tank lots of damage and do lots of damage. He just really doesn't do anything anymore, and his ultimate doesn't protect him enough. The regeneration is not as much as it used to be, and his protections are pretty low. So I like the fact that they're doing more of a protection to physical power conversion, so it puts him back into that brawler role where it's more meant for damage than anything else. So it's going to benefit him, and hopefully he starts getting picked up again. I think Vamana's a lot of fun to watch and a really cool character, but after the nerfs and the adjustments and the introductions of new gods and the shifting of the meta, he kind of just fell off.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was kind of needed. Vamana, was a big talk of the town there for a little while, and all of a sudden, as you said there, he kind of fell off. So I think it was a good change. It was a good change. So that actually ends out our patch notes for today. And I guess I'll shoot it to you, Drybear, first. Overall thoughts on the entire patch changes?
I like Fenrir. I like the voice packs and the little adjustments. I like the tiered actives. I like everything except for Ross face. I like a lot of the changes. I really love the tournament adjustments and how well everything went to, this weekend as far as the NIEU split. I'm really happy to see Smite growing and them putting in lots of fun stuff, but also lots of needed stuff, plus new stuff into the game and just growing it overall.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy with the changes, the direction they're going. I was a little concerned when it came down to them pulling out of kind of paying for the prize pools for some of these grassroots tournaments. But when I kind of took a step back and looked at it, I was like, wow, like the scene could grow so much more now that High Res is taking control of the tournaments. Because the tournaments High Res had pretty much no say in it. Like the flow of the tournaments, the admins, the rules, stuff like that they were paying towards. And now, like, we're seeing that completely polished off. It's standardized pretty much across the board with the 2 major tournaments every weekend. The rules are set there. The organization is there, which is so important. Like, a scene can fall apart if you don't have really good admins, if the prize pools are not paid out in a appropriate amount of time. So I'm really happy with it. The only thing I'm concerned about, and this might just be selfish of me or what, but looking at it, it's now going to be harder from a caster perspective to get into the scene because it's limited now to 4 casters. And I'm just speaking overall. I know you are one of those 4 casters, so you're kind of you're not really having an issue. But for me, it was like, all right, I'm casting for my revenge, and if I'm needed for Curse of the Gods, helping out there. Well, now it's like, hey, where's Octane Pro going to go? Like, where am I going to go now? Like, there's nowhere to cast because the two major tournaments are handled. Now, I saw some unique things today, though. Smite Fire. Kind of something interesting about the scene there. The guys from there were recasting exactly what was on stream, which I would have had an issue with, being like, really, like, you're taking away from the Smite game stream. But did you see some of the stuff that they got going on?
Like Into the Fountain and all that kind of stuff. I think it was really cool.
Well, that, and did you see that one of the guys wrote like an algorithm type of thing that pretty much integrates his streaming software and the graphics into in-game, so like the picks come up on screen and everything like that?
I didn't see that, no.
Oh, it was so cool. Like,
I'm jealous.
They were sitting there and had an overlay up. Like, the god picking screen was completely different for them. And then all of a sudden, like, a team would pick a band and it would lock in from the sides, and like the team would pick their gods and it would lock in from the sides and it would integrate with it.
That's so cool.
It was like so badass. I was like, give these guys a job. Like, their production value was better than what you guys were showing in general. Like, you guys only do what you're given, which I completely understandable. But they did some really cool stuff with it, so I was really happy with it. But I guess it comes back to yeah, kind of sucks for me as a caster and other casters. I know there's quite a number out there which are like, hey, the grassroots tournaments are gone. It's now limited to 2 tournaments for a competitive side. I know there's a lot of casual ones out there for casters and everything like that. But just a thought out there. I'm going to QQ, but I'm done now. But overall, the patch was really good. Really happy with the god changes, especially. Some of them were needed, just kind of little small adjustments. This patch wasn't necessarily huge into balance when it came down to gods, but overall, I give it an A+. I'm happy with it.
Same here. So you want to do final shoutouts?
Sure, we'll do final shoutouts, and do we want to take a few last questions?
We can do that. Is there any questions in chat that we can answer here?
Sure, we'll do some chat questions, and we'll do some shout-outs, and we can give away some gems if you want. We can give away some gems.
People don't want gems.
People don't want gems. All right, fine. People don't want gems.
They don't like free things.
No one likes free stuff, right?
Thoughts on matchmaking? It's inchoate, so give it some time as they develop that further. I mean, there is no elegant solution for 5v5 matchmaking in this type of game. The ELO system was developed for 1v1, and it's been adjusted and modified since then. But again, there is no elegant solution. You're like, yeah, that's a great idea. This works really well type thing. So even at its peak, it's all going to be jerry-rigged and try to make it work the best that they possibly can.
Sure. All right, well, what other questions do we have here? All right, guys, let's get like 2 more questions. Then we'll do gems and shoutouts and get out of here, as I know Dry Bears had a long day. We talked about Fenrir balance, so no need to talk about that anymore. We could talk about Fenrir for like hours, and it's going to be like, oh, he's okay, he's OP, he's balanced. Nope, he's
I don't really want to cause someone to start a mob.
That's right.
And march over to Georgia.
March over to Georgia.
Knock on Hydros' front door. Fenrir!
That's right.
The 45-second cooldown on Blink, I think that's really what Blink is for. I mean, maybe it's a little too short, but I think it works well with the fact that you're giving up so much more by picking up Blink. It should be able to, again, with it's more of an initiation tool than anything else, so it should be used for initiation. Maybe 90 seconds, I don't know, but I don't really have any problem with it as it is.
Yeah, I like the 45-second cooldown. I mean, I love actually putting Blink on gods like Ares or Ymir. It's just quite interesting. Even gods like Loki, it's like another one of his abilities of getting close up and everything like that, sneaking up. So I'm really happy with Blink, and I don't think it needs an adjustment. I don't think it needs a nerf or a buff. I think it's actually really good where it's at.
What can they do to Bakasura? They need to make it so he has... I mean, he's really just damage. He's in that situation where he's more of a pub stomper than anything else. I think maybe putting some kind of, effectiveness on his ultimate, where he can, I don't know, like the more damage he does to multiple targets, he has a longer duration on his ultimate or anything like that. Then you make it so you can't just CC him and then watch him, waste the cooldown of the duration of that ultimate, and then just, try to put him more into a team fight perspective, where it's not just, I'm going to come in and bite everybody, and then if I don't do any damage, then I'm not really helpful.
Sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and do the gem giveaway, and then while we wait for that, we can do our shout-outs. So if you want to go ahead and bring up your giveaway screen and put together a keyword. The way this works, guys, is we actually use a Google plugin, which is a giveaway feature that plugs directly into Twitch. You have to be logged into your Twitch account to qualify, and Drybear will give you a word to put in chat. No need to spam it, just put it in once. And then is this keyword going to use the hashtag or not?
It doesn't matter, I don't believe, but we'll just go ahead and put the hashtag on there. It's going to be hashtag Fenrir.
Oh, how appropriate. How appropriate.
It sure is. And of course, you're welcome to do that in the YouTube section. You will not be able to win gems, but if you want to feel like you're part of the fun, go ahead and put a comment down below.
Sure, definitely. Definitely. Well, with that said, guys, make sure you guys do check us out on iTunes. If you didn't get a chance to watch the entire video, I will go ahead and link that in chat. It was kind of interesting. I actually jumped in a game this past week, and somebody was like, "Oh, I really love the fact that you're doing the audio version." He's like, "I love listening to it on the train." And I'm like, "Yeah!
Yes!
People use it.
We made it!
Wonderful." That's right. But I was really happy about that. So if you guys are, don't have a chance to listen to the video VOD, or you're kind of catching this last minute, check it out on iTunes. We're still the only podcast on iTunes for Smite. So pretty cool to actually see that there. So go ahead and subscribe on there. And then also, after you guys check it out, please make sure you guys give us a 5-star review. If it's a 4-star review, it actually counts against us. So, give us a 5-star if you're happy with it. If you don't like it, give us no stars. But anyways, check that out on iTunes. Furthermore, I cast Monday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. So make sure you check me out on my stream. I'll post that in chat. That's just twitch.tv/OctanePro SCII. I do mostly viewer games. And outside of that, I do a lot of gem giveaways as well, just because I'm in a nice financial situation that I can afford that. So I do a lot of gem giveaways over there. And finally, check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/OctanePro SCII. I post on there every time we're going to do the Smite update, along with any other fun esports and Smite information as well. What about you, Drybear? What do you got?
Check me out on the Smite Game channel, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern, every single week, night or week morning, I suppose, Monday through Friday. You can catch me on the Smite Game channel for the EU tournament at 6 a.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Eastern, and then, of course, 3 p.m. CET for the European Smite tournament. I'll be casting that all day long. This is my first day doing it. I was up bright and early at 5 a.m. to cast that European tournament, and it was a blast. It was awesome to see all the European teams come out and show their true colors. We saw an Aphrodite mid. We saw some crazy picks. We saw Naja mid. We saw some new team comps, all that kind of stuff. It was really, really awesome watching an isolated EU tournament and the things they come up with. But, of course, you can check me out anywhere, Twitter, at Drybear Gamers, YouTube, Drybear Gamers, or on the Smite Game channel. I don't really stream too much on my own channel. It's, my time is very, very limited nowadays. But hopefully I'm looking to get some more free time, probably in the next 2 months or so. Something gonna change so my life isn't so chaotic all over the place. So hopefully that works out. But I really, really enjoy the fact that you guys are here watching and supporting us through these updates, and hopefully you're going to go play Smite after this and enjoy the game that we all know and love so much. But beyond that, that's all I got. So we're gonna go ahead and close this out. Again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. But also rate, comment, and subscribe, not my channel, but also Octane Pro's channel. Go follow him on Twitch, Octane Pro SCII, and of course on YouTube, Octane Pro SCII. And go shoot him at Twitter. Tell him how handsome he is and how much you like his casting, and then him trying to get him a spot in that casting rotation as well. But that's gonna be it for us, guys. Hope you guys all have a wonderful night, wonderful evening, wonderful morning, whenever you're watching this, or maybe you're listening to this on the train. Shout out. But other than that, we look forward to seeing you in our next video.
Take care.